All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about semaglutide. You probably know it by brand names like Ozempic and Wegovy. This is the drug that has completely flipped the script on weight loss, but believe me, there is so much more to this story than what you've seen in the headlines. So let's unpack it all. I mean, you literally can't escape it, right? It's all over your social media feeds, it's leading the nightly news, it's the topic of conversation everywhere. And it seems like everyone is asking the exact same thing. What is the deal with these new, so-called miracle weight loss shots? And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If you look past all the hype, all the celebrity stories, what does the actual science have to say? We're gonna peel back all the layers here and look at the incredible promise, but also the very real trade-offs. So to really understand this whole phenomenon, you have to go back to where it all began, the clinical trial data. Because the numbers that came out of these studies were, to put it lightly, absolutely revolutionary. That brings us to our first big point, the 15% promise. This is the number, the core result that grabbed everyone's attention and basically launched this drug into the stratosphere. And here it is, 14.9%. This is the number that really kicked everything off. In the huge, landmark Step 1 clinical trial, people taking semaglutide lost, on average, nearly 15% of their total body weight. In the world of weight management, a number like that is just staggering.
And wow, this chart really puts that into perspective, doesn't it? Look at the bar on the left. That's the nearly 15% for the group on the drug. Now, compare that to the bar on the right. That's the placebo group. They got the exact same diet and exercise advice, but only lost about 2.4%. That difference, that's not just an improvement, it's a total game changer.
And this wasn't just a case of a few people getting amazing results. Just look at this breakdown. The huge majority, 86% of them, lost a clinically significant amount of weight. And get this, a full half of all the participants lost that headline-grabbing 15% or even more. The results were just so consistent, which of course begs the question, how on earth does this stuff actually work? Okay, so to get how it pulls this off, we need to dive into the science of feeling full, the actual biological magic that's making these results possible. So it all comes down to this term, GLP-1 receptor agonist. Now, I know that sounds super technical, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. The drug basically copies a hormone that your own body already makes. It's called GLP-1, and its main job is to go up to your brain after you eat and say, hey, we're good down here, you can stop eating now. And semaglutide is so effective because it attacks the problem from 3 different angles at once. First, up in the brain, it cranks up that feeling of fullness and just quiets the food noise. You know, those constant nagging thoughts about your next meal. Second, in the gut, it literally slows down how fast your stomach empties, which keeps you feeling physically full for way longer. And third, it helps get your whole metabolism in check by stabilizing your blood sugar. It's just a really, really powerful combination. Okay, but this incredible effectiveness, it doesn't come for free. We have to talk about the other side of the coin here, the unseen physical costs, because this promise definitely comes with a price tag. And this might be the single most important question in this whole discussion. When you see that number on the scale go down, what are you actually losing? Because it's not just fat that's disappearing. And that distinction, well, it's absolutely critical. So, all weight loss is basically made up of 2 things. You've got fat mass, which is what we all want to lose, but then you have lean mass, and that's your muscle, your bone, your water, and hanging on to that lean mass is just crucial for your long-term health and strength. And here is the big catch. When researchers dug into the data, they found something pretty shocking. Up to 40% of the total weight people lost was not fat. It was lean mass. Just let that sink in for a second. For every 10 pounds someone loses, 4 of those pounds could be healthy, functional muscle. That is a massive red flag. And this is exactly why that matters so much. Scientists have a term for this kind of muscle loss. They call it a sarcopenic effect. And as they point out, for older adults especially, this dramatically increases their risk of becoming frail, of falling, of serious injury. It's a really serious trade-off for just seeing a smaller number on the scale. And on top of the muscle loss, you've got the more immediate side effects. We're talking about pretty significant nausea for almost half the people in the trial. Diarrhea and vomiting were also really common. And the studies show that these problems are usually at their absolute worst while your doctor is slowly upping your dose. All right, and now for what might be the biggest catch of them all, let's talk about the rebound effect. What actually happens when you stop taking the medication? This timeline tells you everything you need to know. Researchers took a group of people, helped them lose weight on the drug for 20 weeks, and then, without telling them, they switched them over to a placebo. And the result? Just 1 year later, those people had regained 2/3 of all the weight they had worked so hard to lose.
And that finding, it forces us to look at this whole thing differently. The drug doesn't cure the underlying issue, it manages it. This reframes obesity not as something you can just fix, but as a chronic, long-term disease that needs continuous treatment. Kind of like how people take medication for high blood pressure for the rest of their lives.
Which leads us straight to our final section and this new reality of weight management, the very real possibility of a lifelong commitment.
And before we wrap this up, it's really helpful to clear this up because you hear both names all the time, Ozempic and Wegovy. They are the exact same drug, semaglutide, but they're marketed for different things. Ozempic is primarily for type 2 diabetes. Wegovy is the one that's actually FDA approved specifically for weight management. It comes in the slightly higher max dose, and that's why you see that bigger 15% weight loss number associated with it. So, same molecule, just different jobs.
And so, this is the question we're all left with. There is no denying that this drug is a monumental scientific breakthrough. It's changing lives. But it also forces us to ask some really fundamental questions. Is this the future of how we manage a chronic disease? Or are we just creating a permanent and very expensive dependency? The truth is, the answer is probably a little bit of both. And that's a complex reality we're all going to be grappling with for a long, long time.